Hello everyone, this is Professor Hill, and this is another one of our short videos for our class, Introduction to Ethics, Philosophy 2306, here at St. Philip's College. Today is Tuesday, March the 27th, 2018, and this is the spring semester online version of this class. And we've been, believe it or not, now we've gotten all the way to week number 10. And here we are, and we're talking about a particular case study involving a young boy, Calvin Graham, who joined the Navy when he was only 12 years old. And we're going to be talking about our case study and looking at two things. Looking at, number one, some of the moral theories that underpin our judgment about his action. But also, we want to look at IHL, International Humanitarian Law. We've been studying that as a way to compare and contrast the moral theories with these legal approaches to try to get at what's the right thing to do. And that's the main thing that I want to say today, which is, in our case study, I'm going to ask you to make a choice. Is what he did good or bad, right or wrong? That's a moral judgment that you need to make. But also, and this is again always going to be the hard part, which is why? Why is it wrong? Or, in your case, why is it right? Why is this morally permissible? Now, this is a tough case because his action on the face of it is illegal. It involves him telling a lie, which, as when we were looking at non-consequentialist moral theories, you remember Immanuel Kant, he had plenty to say about the categorical imperative, the things you always have to do morally. And lying was at the top of his list, which is you can't do that. You can never lie. It's always wrong, regardless of the consequences that come out of that. Now, in this case, there's also going to be an argument to be made on the other side of that, which is the consequentialist side. Can we determine his action, whether it was good or bad, right or wrong, based on the outcomes of that? And it's kind of an interesting piece because the outcomes are mixed. He joins the military, and in combat, almost right away, he acts very heroically and bravely, and he's helping save other sailors on his ship. And he's awarded medals for bravery and gallantry. And he's even injured. I mean, this is a self-sacrificing act where he's injured and receives the Purple Heart for his service. And yet it's those very same injuries that land him in the hospital, in which his true age gets discovered, and he's ultimately kicked out of the military with a less than honorable discharge and stripped of his medals. Now, as I mentioned yesterday in the short video, that's not the end of the story. He actually is able to, over a long period of time, write and try to talk with people to explain the situation, and ultimately, he is given an honorable discharge and his medals are reinstated. Almost all of them except the Purple Heart at the beginning and even ultimately the Purple Heart. So they're all reinstated by the time of his death. But it takes him decades. And it's kind of an interesting story in a mixed bag because on one hand, you'd certainly want to say, listen, what he did was wrong. He shouldn't have lied to get into the military. But more than that, he was 12 years old. This is a terrible thing. He should not have been in the military at all under those circumstances. And that's where we're going to pick up on the IHL piece. I've posted information about both the Convention on the Rights of the Child and also the special protocol that we're going to look at about child soldiers. Because I think we want to start with child soldiers are not good. And even if you want to have an argument about the line between 17 and 18, what are you going to do with a 12-year-old? Because believe me, there are lots of 12-year-old soldiers. Now, they're not in the United States military, but there are child soldiers all around the world, tens of thousands of them. And I've also posted up a short video about the story of one of them who would really like to stop being a child soldier, and it's his story about trying to get out of it. So take a look at that as well and begin to think about the laws the moral theories and how they apply to child soldiers in general, and to this particular story of our friend Calvin Graham, because he's a pretty clear-cut example of a child soldier, but also, like I said, with a mixed bag, and certainly in terms of the consequences. So take a look at the materials, read through about Calvin Graham and his situation and story, and start to think ahead to our assignment, which is going to be due Sunday night. So get ready for that next discussion, which is coming up on Sunday night. For now, take care. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.